Today in Tel Aviv, an Arab attacked 4 Israeli residents. One of the victims is a woman who is in critical condition in the hospital. The criminal is also in critical condition. He was shot and wounded by a passerby.
Or have we been informed that anyone...
The American administration is concerned about the flare-up of violence in southern Lebanon and is calling for an end to the conflict, according to the official State Department spokesperson Margaret Tutwiler. She also said that all participants in the Middle East peace process have agreed to come to the third round of negotiations, which will begin in Washington on Monday. In Mongolia, a new constitution officially took effect today. Because of this, there was a celebration on the central square of Ulaanbaatar. Thousands of people heard President Acherbat say that the new constitution is consistent with all the main principles of democracy. In the White House, there was a meeting today between U.S. President George Bush and Swedish Prime Minister Carl Bildt. The Swedish leader expressed his concern for the safety of atomic nuclear power plants made by the Soviet Union, which are still in the former Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. He believes they should be controlled by the international center supporting scientists who were involved in creating nuclear weapons, which is being established by Russia, the U.S., and Germany.
Baltic Sea to the newly independent NATO.
The special representative of the UN General Secretary on Cambodian Affairs said that the program in Cambodia of the UN is ambitious. The Western partners are spending an unprecedented amount, $2 billion. The Pope is continuing his African tour. The head of the Roman Catholic Church denied reports that in 1982 he secretly agreed with U.S. President Ronald Reagan to save the Polish organization Solidarity and destabilize Soviet control in Eastern European countries. John Paul II visited one of the islands from which slaves were sent to England and America. South African President Frederick de Klerk said that he will hold a referendum of the white population. If the referendum does not support his course of political reform, he and his government will resign. Liver disease, metastasization, and diffusive liver changes. This is only a part of the long diagnosis made by Russian doctors on Erich Honecker. The Germans, fearing that they will be accused of harshness, are gradually changing their position toward the former East German leader. Russia found itself in a very unpleasant position with regard to Erich Honecker as a remnant of the former Soviet policy. A year ago, when the first German socialist state collapsed, the German leader was taken to Moscow's Burdenko hospital for emergency medical care. Honecker was genuinely ill and aged as well, only almost 80 years old. However, it was understood that this was a common escape. The communist leader of former East Germany lived with his wife in one of the secret vacation houses near Moscow, and when Bonn began demanding his extradition, Yeltsin said that Honecker would not remain on Russian territory. On December 11th of last year, he entered the Chilean embassy in Moscow, where he remains today. The government of Santiago made several requests to the Russian government to allow Honecker to leave for Chile. This was not political asylum, but a humanitarian gesture for medical care and reunification with his family. Honecker has a daughter and 2 grandchildren in Chile. The last request like this was made the day before yesterday, but Germany's demands for extradition are becoming less firm because the Chilean government has said that it may agree to extradition of Honecker from Chile to Germany. Russia, therefore, sees a possible exit from this situation. The Russian president will decide. We have managed to find out that the Chilean embassy officials will make a statement on the fate of Honecker no later than Monday. That's the news at this hour. Good night. Good evening. For the first time at the Olympic Games, there are 5 skiing events completed. The 30-kilometer women's cross-country race was held today. Our girls did not come in first. The first place was won by, for the first time in the history of Italian skiing, 22-year-old Stefania Belmondo. She started off at a sprinter's pace, and when the last skier to start, our Yegorova, started, but at the 6-kilometer mark, the Italian skier was already 30 seconds ahead. Our skier caught up most of that distance, but the Italian won, having saved energy for the finish, but second place is a great success for us. Elena Valba won the bronze medal, which is the fourth Olympic bronze so far. Our Alexander Bartyuk fell out of the bobsled on the beginning of their run, but managed to get in, pulled in by his teammates, but facing backward. We remember the Norwegian skier's Bjorn Nadeli's backward finish in the relay. This time he did it to demonstrate his superiority. The bobsledders only demonstrated their incoordination, but they had the courage to laugh at themselves at the finish. Our bobsledders are 22nd and 23rd in the competition after 2 runs. The leader at this stage is the German bobsled led by the driver Hoppa. Today, the semi-final in hockey is being played by the teams from the United States and the Commonwealth. Our skater Kovalenko opened the score in the first period. We will find out how this most interesting match comes out on Channel 1 at 10:55 p.m. tonight. Now we'll try to look into the Ice Palace of Albertville, where the women's long program is taking place. After the original program, Christy Yamaguchi is in the lead. Second is Nancy Kerrigan, both from the United States. In third place is the French skater Bonali. Tatiana Rochkova is 13th, and Yulia Vorobyova is 14th, but the competition continues. At the same time, while the Olympic events in Albertville are going on, the summer athletes are also preparing for their games in Barcelona. Today, there were fast races and spectacular results. Today, the 24-year-old Canadian Mark Tewksbury at the National Championships set a new world record in the 100-meter backstroke. Of course, this was a 25-meter pool. His result was 52.52 seconds. He beat his own world record by 0.06 of a second. In Seville, the Kenyan Moses Kiptanui broke one of the most enduring indoor world records in the 3,000-meter race. His time was 7 minutes 37.31 seconds, which is almost 2 seconds better than the record, which stood for 19 years. The Russian Meteorological Center reports weather for tomorrow in Murmansk Oblast 5 to 10 below with light snow. In Arkhangelsk Oblast 8 to 13 degrees below with light snow. In Karelia -2 to -7. On the Middle Volga 10 to 15 below with light snow. In the central region 9 to 14 degrees below zero. In the central Black Earth region 8 to 13 degrees below. In Belarus, 3 to 8 degrees below zero. Ukraine, -2 to -7 with light snow. Moldova, 0 to -5 degrees. St. Petersburg, -4 to -6 with light snow. Moscow, tonight, 18 to 20 degrees below. Tomorrow, 9 to 11 below with light snow.